You are 12. The chains around your wrists are too heavy for your arms, but they do not care. The iron bites into your skin, leaving a red mark that will never fade. You are not a child here. You are weight. You are value. You are property. You stand in the slave market, pressed between bodies, the smell of sweat, dust, and fear rising like smoke. Men in white togas pass by. Their eyes measure your frame. Their fingers squeeze your shoulders. They lift your chin as if testing a horse's teeth. You try not to look at them. You try not to breathe. Your name is Marcus, or perhaps it was. Already, you hear it slipping, washed away in the shouting voices of the auction. The sound of your mother's call is gone, drowned by the crack of the whip, striking the air. You are led forward. You stumble. The crowd laughs. To them you are small, unripe, but your youth is exactly why the price rises. A nobleman lifts his hand. The bidding stops. His purse opens, and with a single gesture, your fate is sealed. You are taken away through the streets of Rome. Marble columns pierce the sky. The statues of gods watch with stone eyes, and fountains spill water clear as glass. But all you see is the chain between your wrists, the dust beneath your feet, the laughter of the free as they look down on you. They say Rome is the crown of civilization. To you, it feels like a vast cage. That night, you are placed in a chamber colder than stone. A mat is thrown on the floor. Bread is given, stale and hard, and a cup of water that tastes of iron. You eat quickly, your hands shaking. In the corner, another boy watches you. His eyes are hollow. His voice is gone. He has been here longer than you, and he does not need words to tell you what silence means. Days pass. You scrub floors, polish bronze, carry trays heavier than your arms can bear. When you falter, the lash cuts your back. You learn to move quickly, quietly, perfectly. The nobleman's house is large, filled with voices and guests. But you are not part of it. You are shadow. You are breath unseen. When you drop a cup, the punishment is swift. When you do well, the reward is nothing. At night, the doors close, and the air changes. You hear footsteps on the marble. You hear the whisper of sandals. The nobleman enters with wine heavy on his breath. His hand touches your face, not with kindness, but with ownership. You freeze. The chamber is small. There is nowhere to run. His voice is soft, but soft like silk drawn across a blade. He calls it instruction. He calls it discipline. But you know what it truly is. You are 12. His hand does not leave your skin. The silence is heavier than the chains once were. You do not scream. You do not move. You endure, because you are told endurance is the only virtue left to you. When it is done, you are left curled on the mat, the scent of him still burning your lungs. The door closes, the darkness returns, and you realize the chains you wear now are no longer on your wrists, but deep inside your flesh. The others know. The boy in the corner looks at you differently now. His eyes are not cruel. They are mirrors. You see in them what you will become. His lips never part. Yet you understand. He has carried the same nights. He has carried them longer. You want to ask how he survives, but you cannot. Your throat holds no word. The nobleman's house teaches silence as law. Weeks become months. Your body hardens with work, but your spirit bends. You are praised in front of guests for your obedience, for your diligence, for your beauty. They do not say it aloud, but the eyes that linger too long tell you the truth. You are an ornament, a possession, a fragile toy in the empire's hidden theater. Rome celebrates its strength, its legions, its glory. Yet within its palaces, children like you are broken in ways no monument will ever confess. Sometimes, when the city sleeps, you dream of the river by your home, the one that shimmered in sunlight. You dream of your mother's hand brushing your hair from your eyes. But when you wake, the stone floor is cold, the mat is thin, and your body aches in places no dream can heal. There are other boys, brought in, taken out, some vanishing without a word. You wonder where they go, some to other houses, some perhaps to graves. You do not ask. You have learned questions were dangerous. You have learned that silence is the only shield, though it is a shield made of paper, always tearing, always thin. One evening, you hear laughter echoing in the hall. The nobleman hosts a feast. Music rises, flutes and lyres, voices singing praise to the gods. You are called to pour wine. You step into the hall, the torches burning high, the marble shining, the air heavy with perfume and roasted meat. Eyes follow you as you move, delicate, precise, trained to perfection. They smile at you, they nod at your grace. They do not see the cracks within. Later, when the guests have gone, you are summoned again. The nobleman speaks of loyalty. He speaks of devotion. He tells you that your silence proves your worth. And then the door shuts. Once more, you are 12, yet you feel centuries older. You are chained, though no iron binds you now. You know this will not end tonight. It will not end tomorrow. It will not end until your body is too broken, until your youth has faded, until another boy takes your place in the shadow. Rome will continue to rise, marble upon marble, victory upon victory, while beneath its columns, the voices of children like you dissolve into nothing. You lie awake. The mat beneath you feels like stone. The darkness breathes around you. You want to remember your name, but even that begins to slip away. You are Marcus, perhaps, or perhaps you are no one. You close your eyes, but sleep does not come. Only silence, only shadows. And somewhere beyond the walls, the city roars with triumph. Blind to the chains it hides in the shadows. You were told to be silent, and yet, even now, your silence screams. You are led through the corridor, the stone cool beneath your bare feet, the oil lamps flickering on the walls. Their flames stretch your shadow, long and thin, as if the light itself wishes to pull you apart. Painted gods look down from the plaster, their eyes unblinking, their hands raised in gestures of power. You search them for mercy, but they do not move. They never move. The house is silent, except for the soft tap of sandals guiding you forward. You are small, the chain at your wrist hidden now, but the chain inside you still heavy, still unbroken. The domina's voice instructs you. She shows you the art of pouring wine without spilling a drop, the precise angle of the jug, the way your hand must remain steady even when your arms tremble. She teaches you how to kneel while fastening sandals, how to keep your gaze low, how to breathe without being heard. Service is shaped into ritual, every motion rehearsed, every gesture measured. You are told this is honor, that obedience makes you useful, that silence makes you safe. But you know already that safety is a lie, whispered to children before their voices are stolen. When the domino leaves, the dominus enters. His footsteps are slower, heavier, carrying the weight of command. His eyes do not teach, they consume. He does not speak of service in the same way. His lessons come in the night, in the hush of locked doors, in the space where no witness remains. He calls it instruction, a boy's discipline, the shaping of loyalty. You know it by another name. The world outside praises Rome's victories. But here, in this room, conquest is measured not by lands taken, but by bodies broken. The bedchamber smells of wine and oil, of incense, meant to hide what cannot be hidden. You are told to bow, to kneel, to wait for command. Each act is disguised as duty, each command draped in the language of ritual. The dominus says obedience is sacred, that devotion proves worth. But the sacred does not feel like this. The sacred does not make your hands shake. The sacred does not press upon your chest until you cannot breathe. You are young, your body still fragile, but you learn quickly that your silence pleases him more than your words. When you flinch, he strikes. When you resist, he laughs. When you yield, he whispers approval. And the approval cuts deeper than the laugh, because you begin to wonder if yielding is all that remains of you, if obedience is the only form of survival left. The villa becomes a temple, but not of gods, of shadows. The rituals repeated night after night are not written in any scroll, not honored in any festival. They are secret, and because they are secret, They are inescapable. You feel your body ceasing to belong to you. Your breath, your silence, even your tears are not yours. They belong to him. Sometimes when dawn breaks, you are allowed to step into the courtyard. The fountain sings with clear water. The marble gleams in the rising light. Birds circle above, free in the sky you cannot touch. The domina watches you as you serve, her eyes sharp, but her lips sealed. She knows, perhaps, or perhaps she has trained herself not to see. In this household, obedience binds. Not only the slaves, but the masters too, chained to traditions they pretend are divine. At meals, you stand at the wall, waiting to pour, waiting to fetch, waiting to vanish. Laughter rises from the couches, voices celebrating Roman virtue, stories of conquest, songs of victory. They boast of honor, discipline, law. You listen, silent, and wonder what law protects you. You wonder what honor is found in a boy's trembling body. They speak of Rome as eternal, but you feel the hours stretch endlessly, each one a weight pressing on your chest. Night always returns. It always does. The lamps are lit, the doors close, and the Dominus calls you again. His hand rests heavy on your shoulder, his voice low, demanding loyalty. You want to scream, but your voice has been trained into stillness. You want to run, but your legs obey commands, not your own. You endure, because endurance is the last shield you hold. Time twists in the villa. Days blend into nights, lessons into punishments, duty into desecration. You begin to forget the sound of your own laughter. You begin to forget the feel of a hand that does not take. You begin to forget the freedom of choosing when to close your eyes. You are told this is your initiation, that every boy in service learns the same. The Dominus says it has always been this way, that Rome is built not only on stone and sword, but on obedience and flesh. He believes his words. You see it in his face, the calm certainty of a man who knows his power will never be questioned. He calls you loyal. He calls you devoted. He never calls you human. When you lie awake on the thin mat, the moonlight spilling pale across the floor, you whisper your name in your mind so you do not lose it completely. Marcus, Marcus, Marcus. But the sound grows weaker each night. You fear the day will come when even your name will no longer answer to you, when you will be only what they have made of you, a vessel of service, a shadow of obedience. Sometimes in the silence, you remember the market where you were bought, the weight of chains on your wrists, the eyes of men bidding over your body. You thought the chains were iron then. Now you know they are deeper. The iron has been replaced by ritual, by command, by the endless demand for silence. And still, the empire rises. Roads stretch farther. Armies march stronger. Triumphs are celebrated in golden arches. Rome speaks of justice, of order, of the greatness of its people, but in its villas, in its hidden chambers, obedience is carved into children. Obedience is burned into skin. Obedience is worshipped as though it were holy. You close your eyes. The corridor flickers again in memory. The oil lamps painting your shadow against the wall. The gods look down, unmoving, unblinking, their hands frozen in eternal blessing. You wonder if they see. You wonder if they care. You are told obedience is survival, but survival, you now know, is only another word for loss. You obey, and each night a piece of you is taken. You obey, and each morning you wake a little less whole. You obey until you no longer remember what it meant to live without fear. And when silence fills the villa, when the last lamp dies, when the house sleeps, your body lies still, but your mind whispers what cannot be spoken aloud. You were a child. You were Marcus. You were more than this. But here, in the empire's shadow, your voice is buried beneath ritual. And even as the centuries pass, your silence remains. You stand in the hall of marble, the air thick with smoke from torches and lamps. Music rises, flutes and lyres, voices humming above the clatter of goblets. The villa is alive tonight, swollen with laughter and pride. Wine flows like a river, dark and heavy, spilling from silver cups. Roasted meat fills the air with its scent. Sweet and sharp, the walls glow with painted gods, watching over the feast, their faces frozen in triumph. You are placed in the center of it all, not as a guest, not as a child, but as an ornament, as an offering, as something paraded for the eyes of men, whose power knows no restraint. You have heard of others like you. Boys traded when their skin was smooth, when their voices had not yet cracked, their beauty measured like coins. They were gifts at feasts, ornaments to flatter guests, and when their youth dimmed, when their faces no longer drew desire, they were sent away, some to brothels and alleyways, where soldiers spend their pay, some to mines where sunlight never reaches, where lungs fill with dust until no breath remains. You hear these stories whispered, carried by slaves in the kitchens, by beggars in the markets. You wonder if they are stories at all, or warnings carved into rumor to keep you afraid. You look into the basin, the bronze polished, until it reflects. The face staring back is not the face you remember. The cheeks hollow, the eyes heavy. You see the boy who once believed that silence would protect him, that obedience would bring mercy. But the reflection teaches otherwise. There is no mercy in ownership. There is only use. And when use fades, there is disposal. You watch the city rise around you. Rome, eternal and triumphant. The arches of victory carve shadows across the streets. The marble shouts of glory. Statues of emperors, their gazes lifted to the heavens, their names carved into stone, so time will not erase them. And beneath, in the alleys and cellars, the nameless suffer. The law remembers the conqueror. It forgets the conquered. It forgets you. Sometimes you hear whispers of rebellion, stories of slaves who mixed poison into the wine of their masters, of boys who fled into the forests, vanishing like spirits, of girls who threw themselves into rivers rather than submit. But these are not stories told aloud. They are murmurs at night, dangerous even to repeat. To speak rebellion is to risk death, yet even death tempts more than chains that never loosen. You wonder, when you hear them, whether you would ever be brave enough to choose your own end. But fear binds tighter than iron. Fear is the true law. Fear keeps your lips sealed when the hand rises. Fear keeps your body still when you wish to flee. Fear whispers that to resist is to vanish, and vanishing means your pain will have no witness. And so you remain. You endure. You learn to bow, to nod, to fold yourself into obedience so deeply that you almost believe it. Almost, at night. You lie awake. The silence is heavy, broken only by the sounds of the city. Carts rolling, dogs barking, soldiers shouting drunken songs. You wonder how many others lie awake as you do. How many bodies stretch across straw mats, dreaming of freedom that will never come. The empire sleeps, but beneath its triumphs, the restless never rest. You hear priests speak of purity, of virtue, of the order of the gods. They say the household reflects the heavens. The father mirrors Jupiter, the wife mirrors Juno, the children mirror obedience, and the slaves are the earth itself, used, harvested, discarded. They call it divine design. You call it a cage, yet your voice cannot leave your throat. To name it a cage is to curse the gods, and curses are punished. There are moments when you think of ending it. A rope, a blade, the river's pull. You imagine silence not as chains, but as relief. You imagine a world where you do not wake to commands, where no hand dictates the value of your body. You imagine freedom not as rebellion, but as nothingness. And yet, When the moment comes, you do not move. The fear is stronger. The empire is stronger. You are not allowed to choose. Rome grows richer, and you grow smaller. The streets fill with triumphal processions, with treasures stolen from distant lands. Gold, silks, spices, captives, always bodies turned into offerings of power. You watch them paraded, chained, displayed. Their silence mirrors yours. Their eyes carry the same hollow stare you have seen in your reflection. The city sings of victory. The poets write of destiny. The senators praise the order of law. But beneath their voices lies the truth. No one records the truth of shattered bodies, the truth of laws written to conceal suffering beneath the language of honor, the truth of children used and discarded, of slaves who carry empire on broken backs. You are part of that truth. Though your name will never be remembered, you will not appear in marble or parchment. The law that ruled you will vanish from the lips of men one day, replaced by other laws, other names, other cages, yet the silence will remain. It always remains. You close your eyes. You imagine the arches falling, the statues crumbling, the marble ground to dust. You imagine Rome gone, forgotten, drowned by time. And in that silence, perhaps your voice might rise. Perhaps when the empire itself is a ruin, someone will hear the faint echo of your pain. But for now, you are still here, still bound, still silent. The law hides its cruelty behind words of order, of family, of virtue. Yet you know what it truly is. It is ownership. It is erasure. It is the slow death of being alive without belonging to yourself. You were told to endure. You were told to obey. You were told to remain silent. And so you do. But silence is not empty. It is heavy. It carries every cry you were never allowed to make. Centuries later, that silence still lingers. It drifts through ruins. It whispers through stones. It is the only trace of you that remains. And though you are forgotten, the silence remembers. It remembers everything.